Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
My name is Joel Saint. I'm a pastor in Eastern Lancaster County. I pastor the Independence Reformed Bible Church. I want to clarify a little bit of what I said last week, but before I do that, intriguing, we spent a lot of time on prisons here this morning, and it's an intriguing thing because where do we get the idea of right and wrong at all? We put people in jail, in prison for doing certain things, or perhaps for not doing certain things. But why? Who is it that gets to make those rules? Is it might makes right? Is it power? Is it morality? How do we discover that morality? What I said last week, and I had someone come back and say, you know, you were really hard on single guys last week. And I wasn't trying to be hard on single guys. I was trying to be hard on single guys that father children and don't marry their mothers and care for their children. I do want to be hard on them. You know, Christ, he said, love your neighbors, famously said, love your neighbors yourself. And you know, one of the reasons why I love Christ and love his word. People talk about, well, there's many gods and so forth, and I believe in one less God than you or whatever, but no fake God would say what he said. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. The second commandment is like it, love your neighbors yourself. No fraudster would say something like that. You mean loving your neighbors is similar to loving me? What a statement that is. Your first neighbor is your child. If you're a young man and you father, that is your first neighbor. If you can't love that neighbor, you will not love the other neighbors. One of the things that I want to communicate, not just here, wherever I can, and that is that the difference between, let's say, me as a person who believes the Bible and a lot of, let's say, status socialists, if you will, they're constantly talking about what's good for society. I don't talk about what's good for society. Christ did not. I talk about what's good for my neighbor. You see, we can fix society with our rules and our legislation and so forth and still ignore our neighbor. But if we take care of our neighbor, if we love our neighbor as ourselves, society will take care of itself. We've had many who say they love humanity but can't love their own neighbors, starting with their children. Very briefly, we've all heard of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, social contract. People are born good, and it's a society that makes them bad and so forth. And the social contract is the government, and the government will make us right. Late in 1746 or 1747, Rousseau returned to Paris from a successful season of music and chemistry to find that his steady friend, a French young lady whose name I can't pronounce, had grown as newly plump as, quote, though he says in another way, she was apparently gained a little weight. His free-willing companions provided him with word of a common practice that would extricate him from his embarrassment. She was pregnant with his child. The story of Rousseau's babies has been told often, but it deserves yet another look if we are to understand the peculiar impact of Rousseau on children over the last 2 centuries. The mechanics of disposal were easy enough. Find a reliable midwife to manage the delivery and then let her take the newborn to Vincent de Paul's foundling home, where the child could join the 3,000 or so other abandoned infants of that year. Another example of a man who knew how to fix the world, but couldn't love his own children, couldn't love his neighbor. And that's a big problem we have, obviously, in our society, not just Lancaster County, but everywhere else in this country. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Pastor.